Well, let's resume our meeting because of the time arrangement. Our first item on regulatory regime for and professional development of CMP will have to come to an end because we have already scheduled the time for discussion. But then with regard to the specialty or specialist CM services, we'd like the administration to give us further information to supplement the current papers. So next item is on the latest progress of the Chinese Medicine Development Fund. So we have the same team of officials here. So Undersecretary, well, in the 2018-19 budget, the administration announced the establishment of a $500 million dedicated fund to further promote and facilitate the development of Chinese medicine. We aim to enhance the overall standards of the industry by providing the CM and CM drug sectors with financial support, including different things. And we have an advisory committee set up to advise and make recommendations to the government on matters relating to the overall administration and the operation of the CMDF. Well, we have the professional support, the enterprise support program, and also the industry support program. So basically, the A scheme provides matching funds for individual CM practitioners and clinics, members of the CM drug industry and CM drug manufacturers to enhance the manufacturing and also training. And also there would also be policy adjustments and also different promotion programs for the use of Chinese medicine. And then under the enterprise scheme for individual CM practitioners, CM clinics, and also members of the CM drug industry and also drug manufacturers, there'll be matching fund support to enhance the quality of services and so on. We also have a funding platform in order to provide additional support for the profession. And in June last year, it was launched, and most of the funding schemes have already been rolled out in phases, and the response has been very enthusiastic. And for the enforcement, the administration body is the Productivity Center. It will be looking at the applications and approving funding. And because of the pandemic, we have also got relevant programs, and they'll be given priority consideration for the trade to apply. And priority would also be given to improving the facilities of CM clinics and also some enhancement facilities, some enhancement programs for upgrading the facilities in terms of prevention of infectious disease and so on. Yes, the floor is now open to questions. Yes, Shu Ka-chen. With regard to the $500 million dedicated fund, we welcome that because we understand that the profession would like to take the opportunity to ensure that there will be better support from the administration for the development of Chinese medicine so that for CMPs, they'll be able to enhance their international standard. And then for their products, they will not just be launched in Hong Kong to help the local residents, but also elsewhere in the world, so that they can even go into the Greater Bay Area or other places. For the $500 million dedicated fund, Dr. Choi, I understand that in the past year you've been talking and organizing many activities with the profession. So I'd like to know how much of that $500 million fund has been used. What's the utilization rate? Do you have the figures, Undersecretary? Well, in 2019 and 20, a total of about $15.4 million have been approved under the fund. And in particular for the industry support program, the response has been very enthusiastic. About 150 applications have been received. So about $15 million have been granted. So what about the 150 applications? Have they been approved? Have they been given funding support? Yes, I'll defer to Dr. Ng. Thank you. As the Undersecretary said, in 2019-20, so we have funded a total of $150 million. But then, as of now, we have approved funding over $28 million. And as the fund scope is very wide. For example, we talk about the B scheme, that is the Industry Support Program for professional training and so on and so forth, for individual CMP and also CM drug manufacturer. We also have the Enterprise Support Program, or the A scheme. So the deadline for application was end of May, and we have approved a total of $28 million funding. Okay, it's a dedicated fund of $500 million. So there are many practicing in the profession, and I've also contacted many chambers of commerce, and if you wait for that to be approved within a month, in fact the quota has been used up, so you will have to step up publicity, and basically you will also have to streamline the application procedures in order to encourage more applications, because for those working in the profession, for those working in the profession, some know how to browse government websites, but then for those who are working in the CM trade, many of them are rather senior in age. Well, for the GMP manufacturers, well, they said that they've been facing this problem for a long time, because if they want to enhance their standards to GMP standard, then they will have to put in a lot of resources to upgrade the facilities, and as a result of that, they find it difficult to meet the standards. And if they want to get accreditation elsewhere, then there would be difficulties. So for GMP manufacturers, how are you going to help these smaller manufacturers when it comes to GMP standards? Well, can I supplement? Thank you, Mr. Shiu, for your questions. Well, there are two elements. So one would be for the enterprises, the other would be for the entire industry. And then we have the A2 scheme under the A scheme. So that is to help the CM drug manufacturers in order to enhance their hardware so that they can meet the GMP standards. And under this program, well, for the CM drug manufacturers, they will be getting the funding, and then they will get the GMP accreditation in order to manufacture drugs. But then this scheme, for the time being, only accepts the registration of the service providers. In other words, our mode of service is that we will have a list of consultants, and then the applicants will choose from those consultants in order to get the funding. We hope to be able to complete the scrutiny or the vetting of the applicants, and then we can open that up to the CM drug manufacturers for applications. Well, you talk about a list of consultants. What does that mean? In other words, they will have to go to these consultants who will help them to put in the applications. Is that right? Well, it works like this. Well, under the A scheme, we will help the manufacturers to take a look at their current production model, and also whether or not they can meet the GMP standards and what's the gap between those, and also for quality management and also manufacturing procedures and what they have to do in order to meet the GMP standards. So the consultant will be giving advice or recommendations to the manufacturers so that they can work accordingly.
So first of all, we'll have to compile a list of consultants who can provide the service to the PCM manufacturers, and then we will subsidize the consultants' cost. How many consultants are there? How can you qualify as a consultant? How many consultants do you expect to be there? We are now vetting the consultants' application. Now, for this $500 million fund, we are very concerned about this, and Mr. Ben Chan is very concerned about enhancing the factory standards to meet with GMB requirements. So I understand why that only a small sum has just been expended under the fund, because you're still vetting the list of consultants making the application. Do you think this is a good enough timetable, Under Secretary? Thank you, Chairman. Of course, in terms of timing, the sooner the better, but we know that the there have been suggestions that the procedures can be further streamlined. So apart from the GMP standard and the relevant funding, for other schemes, they have taken a review and they have already streamlined certain procedures. So there is indeed a process for us to review the procedures for application. We know that these have to be streamlined and simplified. Can I continue on GMP factories? Ms. Chen, you have just taken up your post. I've never seen you before here. Doctor? Well, you haven't approached me for a long time to discuss this subject matter. You know that I'm a representative of the profession, but you didn't approach me to discuss this. So the progress has been very slow. You wanted to do it, but we have to look at the results. If you have approached me, then I would have made such suggestions on how you can help factories to meet GMP standards, because to obtain the GMP certification is very costly. You have to have different workshops, which are sort of where production is carried out in the vacuum, and so you are still working at a very initial stage. You are just vetting the consultant. So the timetable is far from desirable. So please arrange meetings with me. Why is it that you have progressed so slowly? Which are these consultant companies? How can you publicize really the list of consultants among the CM traders? And for this $500 million, I know that a part of it will be used for training staff. So what have you done in that respect? So who will take that question? Ms. Chen? On staff training, there are two sides to our work. On the enterprises and the practitioners, there is a scheme. So we have a CM Personal Training and Chinese Medicine Clinic Improvement Funding Scheme A1. We will be subsidizing training courses in a few areas. One is subsidizing CMPs and CM personnel to enroll courses under the qualifications framework. And we would also be subsidizing them to take training courses with assessment. And we would also be subsidizing them to enroll courses meeting with the CME requirements. So the personnel can attend training in these three areas and get subsidy from us. And then there is also the B scheme for subsidizing the industry. So we are subsidizing different NGOs, academia, universities to organize different training courses, so that with the hope that there will be a diverse range of training programs to lift up the service standards. For A scheme, staff may be trained up on, say, the knowledge of Chinese herbal medicine and so on. So what is the subsidy level for these training programs? Are you providing support to companies? So how many participants are in a training class? So let me add, for the training programs, we will be looking at the content of the courses. For training courses under the QF, for those pitched at Q5 or below, then we will be subsidizing 90% of the tuition fees. And for Q6 or above, 60%. And then there are two other different types of courses, training courses with assessment and also CME courses. The subsidy is at 90%. What about the enrollment figures? How many classes have been organized? We're not specifically setting up classes ourselves. We allow these training bodies to come and register with us, and there is a list of such training courses. As long as the participants take part in such the courses offered by training bodies under the list, then they are entitled to subsidy. And for Scheme A, there are 21 training courses on the list, and there have been over 100 applications. How many courses have already been offered? Dr. Ng, I don't have a specific figure as to how many courses have already started, because at the end of last year, we received applications for registration of courses, and these courses have been listed on our list. Over applications have been received, and some CMPs have been approved to receive the subsidy. So in the next few months, these courses will start. But specifically as to the number of courses, I don't have the information on hand. There will be cash subsidy for CM personnel. I welcome that. For those offering training courses, they are in the train. That's good because they're in the profession. But then not many people have come forth to apply. 100 applications divided by 21 courses, just on average 5 people per course. So I think you should step up your publicity. Let me reiterate, I am the representative of the profession. You've never approached me to brief me on your programs. Please contact me, liaise with me and my colleagues. I'm responsible for actually holding meetings for the profession. I can help pass on your information. If you want to organize seminars for them so that the bosses know what these courses are about, then I'm more than happy to help. Well, the bosses have to release their staff for training courses, so they have to be mindful about whether these courses are worth attending and so on. It doesn't suffice that you say that these courses are good. Well, you have to really let people know about these courses. Please strengthen communication with me. And as to Scheme B, Ms. Chan, NGOs will be liaising with the profession to organize professional courses. This is something good. I attended one myself last year, and I think it was subsidized by yourself, and you will be able to let more people know about these the profession. That's good. Let me add, Greater Bay Area should be a priority for us. In the past half year, things have become stagnated. But I believe that in the medium term, the GBA will offer good opportunities for CMPs. And we can try to attract more resources from the GBA to come to Hong Kong. So that's for medium term. And for the long term, we can target the Belt and Road regions. So these two initiatives bode good opportunities for the CM service. As a Chinese person, I know that the CM has a long history and it comes with its own merits, and overseas people know that as well. So this is very much an industry, and it will bring not only to profits to Hong Kong enterprises, and if Hong Kong enterprises can internationalize their products, export them to other countries, and do production in Hong Kong, so everyone in Hong Kong will benefit because they will pay tax, which will benefit the society as a whole. So that's why I'm asking all the time for the government to support the profession, because by doing so, you will be supporting or benefiting Hong Kong as a whole. So as a representative of the profession, I will work closely with you, fully cooperate with you. Ms. Chen, well, I'm meeting here you for the first time, so let's get the work done. And Dr. Wang is here. We had a quarrel in our discussion on the e-cigarettes, but here we work harmoniously. Thank you, Mr. Xu. From the establishment of the fund and up to now, I think the progress of its work has been very slow. And the representative of the profession or the trade, Mr. Xu, hopes that he can work more with the Chinese medicine unit I've not met privately with you. We're just communicating here at the subcommittee meeting. So I don't know how to answer some of the questions raised by the trade. So I hope that there can be more communication between us. Mr. Xu also said the same. We've been waiting for this fund all along, and we look forward to successful cases of applying for the fund. Well, some from the trade told us that they're still exploring on how to utilize the fund. And the Productivity Council as the implementation agent is also helping out. I know that we should allow some time for the fund to really get its act together. And then there is also 2 schemes: A, enterprise support program; B, industry support program. The 2 programs covered areas of concern to us all along. But apart from that, what matters most is whether the trade can get genuine help. If the vetting is cumbersome and the criteria is stringent, then that would be no good. People will be deterred from applying for the fund. The application process may be very cumbersome, and that will put people off. Say if a company would like to apply for the fund, so what are the procedures like in terms of the approval process? So will there be a vetting subgroup under the fund to scrutinize the application and then hand its recommendation to a bigger committee to do the final approval? How can you rationalize the whole process so that the approval and the application process can be made simpler and do away with all the cumbersome procedures that the trade is worried about? And in recent past, the trade has been thinking about promoting CM service in the Greater Bay Area. There have been policy changes in the mainland, and actually they are thinking about allowing Hong Kong-made products to be sold in the GBA. So under which program, under the fund, will that be relevant? If we can promote our CM drugs in the GBA, that brings a host of benefits to the trade. And some other traders are trying to sell the products to the international community. But it seems that under the fund, there is no dedicated program to help CM products to be sold internationally. And for introducing technology, there has been discussion that a set of computer will be allocated to CM clinic. I mean, would that really be done? I don't think that's the right way, because the trade said that a computer will be given to them if an application is made. Well, that doesn't help too much. Can you explain more on that, please? First, you referred to the computer. And there in A14 scheme, there is a program to help improve the Chinese medicine clinic. That is not just about giving a computer to the CM clinic. We would like to provide financial subsidy to eligible CM clinics to enhance their different systems, say the medical record system, improve clinical operations in the areas of safety and hygiene and so on, so that better quality CM services can be provided to the public.
So for those eligible for applying for this, it's not just about IT equipment. It also includes CM raw materials processing, and even for other systems. So it's not just confined to computer systems. It also includes production equipment. And we understand the overall direction for development. We have to get into other markets. And there are several areas. As Mr. Shield talked about the GMP scheme, so through giving support to these manufacturers, they'll be able to meet the GMP standards for accreditation. And then for the industry as a whole, we also support research and development programs, so that's through NGOs and also other survey or research institutes. We will have to look at the latest trends and where the opportunities are in order to ensure that we might be able to roll out new policies to support them. Coming back to the first question raised by you, Chairman, is about the processing mechanism. So once they have submitted an application, then the Productivity Council will look at the established criteria to see if they meet those standards. And then the application will be further submitted to a vetting group, which will look at whether they have met the objectives of the program and so on. And then their applications or suggestions would be submitted to an advisory committee set up under the fund, and then the advisory committee will endorse the application. So that's the complete cycle for application. And according to our understanding, we have also heard from the industry their needs. So it sounded as if it's very difficult to get any funding support, but then this is a running in process. It's the teething problem. So sometimes it's hard to understand the requirements and to what extent do they have to meet the standards before they can get the funding. But then we've been working with the applicants as well. Other than stepping up publicity, we have been talking to them to see if it's possible to include on their website further information so that it can help the industry to understand how they can prepare the application forms, and arrangements will also be made for individual consultation services and sessions, so they can make an appointment with the HKPC and then they can find out more from the HKPC about the requirements. So we hope that through different areas of work, in the long run, the industry would have a better understanding and get the funding support from the fund for the development. Thank you. Well, just now, you also talk about GMP. So you're actually trying to identify consultants. So you'll be giving them $30,000 for the assessment support, right? Yes, there'll be a basic assessment, so that will be up to 90%, and the cap is $30,000. But then under A22, well, for GMP, they will have to look at the current manufacturing standard and also the discrepancy between them and the GMP system. So the amount is 50% and the cap is $100,000. And then there are several other schemes where the consultancy will be sponsored. And then under A23, we have another scheme to subsidize these manufacturers in order to meet the GMP certification requirements. So those will also be covered. In other words, for a manufacturer who would like to get support, they can apply for funding under several schemes. Yes. Well, that's been in operation for several months. So for how long will this $500 million be used for? Have you got any target? Well, according to our current estimate, we'll be exhausting the fund in 5 years. And if you look at paragraph 5 of our paper, we have also responded to the comment made by Mr. Shiu just now. So for certain schemes, they will be rolled out first. For example, in May, when this was launched, in May of 2019, so we first rolled out the enterprise support program and then the industry support program. So they will be rolled out in phases. And we expect that in the coming year, the use of the fund will be greatly enhanced when compared to the first year. And of course, we've been monitoring the response from the industry very closely, and will be making adjustments accordingly. And under A4, we haven't rolled that out yet, because for the schemes that have been planned, we have got some feedback from the industry, which suggests that there needs to be a beefing up of these schemes. So we'll be working on that in order to ensure that we'll be able to promote the development of the industry. All right, there are quite a number of funds in the community whereby every year or after a certain time interval, they'll be rolling out new schemes, and they can also look at the new development directions. And the emphasis can also be placed on certain areas. So I would like to know if the steering committee for the fund would also be looking into this. For example, the industry might want to develop in a particular direction, and then you would also give them that support. So have you had that discussion? So will you be adopting similar practices? Yes, in fact, it works like that for the fund. It comes up with different schemes. We have already consulted the relevant development committee. Which sectors are you consulting? So what kind of feedback will you be considering? Well, after the meeting, we will work closely with Mr. Shiu because he's representing the constituency. So you said that you'll be considering the feedback from the industry. So which sectors will you be listening to? Yes? Dr. Ng? Well, in the process of rolling out the fund, we've been maintaining very close liaison with them. For example, the various institutes on Chinese medicine and so on, and also various groups, chambers of commerce and so on. In fact, every quarter, we do have established channels to collect views from the profession, and in the past we have also collected a lot of comments from the profession. So that's the way how we collect their opinions. And as you said, we would also consult the relevant advisory committee and also the CMCHK and also members of the board. And they also collected views themselves from the industry. Yes, I'm also a member of the board, and we have professors and academics and researchers and so on. But then I might not have had a very good understanding of how the profession works, and I don't really know some of the members very well. I will need to talk to them more. And I hope that the administration would also invite members of the committee, including Mr. Shuka Chun, so that the profession's voices can be heard. And then you would also understand the needs of the profession better. Well, for other members, can I ask if there are questions from other members? If none, anything that the administration would like to add? Yes, Undersecretary. No, I have nothing further to add. Okay. If that is the case, then I hope that the fund will run smoothly. There should also be better communication with the profession. And within this council, we've been urging you to set up this fund, and I hope that you can come back on a regular basis to brief us on the progress and also the development direction, okay? Next, AOB, future directions for the subcommittee. Or the way forward for the subcommittee. This is the last meeting of the subcommittee. I'd like to thank all members of the subcommittee for their support for the subcommittee's work. And the Secretariat will prepare a report later, and the draft report will be circulated to members for your information. Without further ado, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.